when you look at women, especially women that don't have access to the internet, what can the internet do for them? What are you doing now? And what can the internet do for you? The majority of the opportunities I've gotten, majority of the people I've met, and the things that have pushed me forward in my career was born from the internet, from my interactions, from my research, and everything I do. But at the end of the day, I like to look at it like this: like I'm a woman. Okay. If I were a man, I mean, I have sisters, I'll have daughters, I'll have. Do I really want them to be in a society where they wake up and they're like, you shouldn't do this because you're a woman? One essential thing I always tell young people like myself in cybersecurity is drop your ego. Drop your ego. As someone that is interested in learning, I want to learn from anybody, anytime. So I actually don't care whether you're insulting me. What is the output? Am I going to gain the skill?
As long as it's
Am I going to,
beneficial.
as far as I'm going to benefit, I'm going to go for it.
Right.
I'm going to pour my heart into it.
Okay. Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of Women, Tech, and Society, a podcast dedicated to conversations on the impact, potential, and challenges of women in technology and society. I am Benita Izumizu, and I'm your host. On today's episode, we'll be discussing digital inclusion. We all know how rapidly the world is advancing technologically, and digital inclusion is a vital topic to explore. In today's world, it is so critical to guarantee that everyone has access to technology and can utilize technology across various sectors. In this episode, we uncover the importance of digital inclusion to empower women and advance our society. On the show with me today is an amazing guest who will take us through her journey and experiences as a digital analyst. She would also share her success story, challenges, as well as explore the ideas of a woman in the technology sector. So let's meet my guests. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how you got into the space that you currently are?
Hi, Benita. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
It's an honor.
Yeah, my name is Nanban Micah, and I am a digital security or cybersecurity professional, as you call it. I have a bachelor's in cybersecurity from Air Force Institute of Technology, Kaduna, and I grew up in Jos, Nigeria. I currently work in the civil society space as a digital security associate, where I provide and I render like digital security services, innovative and study ones, to be able to help journalists, activists, civil society organizations, and majorly at-risk groups to stay safe online.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Namban, for that introduction. I mean, that's a lot. So, talking about your background in cybersecurity and digital inclusion and technology generally. So, in what ways do you think that access to technology has impacted your life personally?
Thank you so much for that question. Access to technology has played a major role in my life, in my career, and in my progress generally as a human being. I would say that besides the fact that cybersecurity is based on what happens on the internet and our communications and connections to the internet, everything I know, majority of what I know, majority of the things I've learned, majority of the skills I've been able to acquire is as a result of the access I have to the internet. So I'll give a backstory of how I got into cybersecurity. And
I love backstories.
so as a child, I was a team doctor, and I used to watch a lot of TV. So my mom would always attribute it to TV. She was like, it's too much TV that is telling her she wants to do this, she wants to do that. So I was always interested in watching like CIA, CSI, NCIS, all these things about investigation. And I didn't see myself going to the computer technology part, but I knew I wanted to do something around forensics, around investigating, uncovering these things. And I was so interested in it that I read so much about it, I watched it, and I was always telling my mom, I was telling my classmates in school, I'm going to do forensics. But as you have it, I finished school, and, Nigeria that we are in, there wasn't really much I could do or apply for that was related to that. So when I finished secondary school, I applied to the University of Jos for a degree in, a medicine degree. And at the end of the day, I was handed, what course was it? Um, sorry. And at the end of the day, I was handed mining engineering. Yes, so they gave me mining engineering to study. And as of that time, I was like, I didn't know what to do, but I had already made up my mind that I wasn't writing JAM a second time. And I didn't know where I was going from there. I just wanted to do something else. So a few weeks later, I had a friend that was going back to school. She was going to school actually. She was going to school, went to secondary school together, and I escorted her to get some things for school. And when she was leaving, my mom randomly asked, "Oh, which school are you going to?" And she's like, "Oh, this is the school I'm going to, AFIT." And I mean, we didn't know about the school. They were just starting their degree courses. And my mom randomly asked, "What are the courses they offer?" And while she was listening to them, she mentioned cybersecurity, and it was like, I instantly there was this, and I'm like, "Oh wow, cybersecurity." And my mom is like, "Is that not something related to what you've always wanted to do?"
Also, it was a
And
trigger for
it was
you
a
and your
trigger for
mom.
me and my mom. Like my mom has played like a huge role in my success and in my career. So every time I
Amazing.
speak, I mean, she always comes in because I personally was not so. I was less interested in everything. And that question she asked alone, it was a trigger. And she's like, this is for you. This is you. You should apply. And I'm like, she's already going to school. Application must have been over. And my mom, made some calls, people she knew there in the military, and they're like, "Oh yeah, she can apply and everything." And then I applied, I got in, I started studying cybersecurity. It was normal at first. You know how it is in the conventional universities. You start with biology, maths. I was just
Always
doing normal.
theoretical.
I wasn't so. It wasn't really intriguing as of that point. But like in my 200 level, my mom bought me my first laptop. Just encouraging me to start learning something, start doing something. So I started using the internet small, even though it was a lot of more of entertainment. And then lockdown came, and then that was jackpot for me. Lockdown came, I was at home, and I was so bored. Like it was eating me up. I didn't have what to do. And right from childhood, I had always been someone that liked to read and write. Reading and writing was leave it to me. And because I couldn't, I had to go to science class. I had to drop a lot of those, extracurricular activities. So during lockdown, I just randomly thought about it, and I'm like, oh, let me start a blog. Let me write. And as of that time, I was on my phone a lot. I mean, we can't argue about it. All of us were on
Yeah, on
our
our
phones.
of course.
So I was meeting people, I was seeing things, everything was getting very interesting. And I was able to come across like some of, our elders in the tech industry. I saw their pages, I followed them. I was just going back, seeing their posts from before. I'm like, oh, so this person was like me before. It was very encouraging. So I told myself, oh, I'm going to start writing about cybersecurity. I'm going to start giving tips on how to stay safe online. And I launched my blog in 2020, and then that was like breakthrough for me. So as of that period, someone introduced me to Confidence Stavely, who is like the current cybersecurity woman of the world, and she was very kind to me. She started being like my mentor from that time. When I told her I wanted to start a blog, she was like, "Oh, write out some topics you want to start with, do this," and she was very encouraging. When I started my blog, people were sharing, it was interesting, and it was basically stuff that people now know, people should have known before, like, simple things like cookies and passwords, multi-factor authentication. I was posting about it and people were finding it interesting. And as of that time, that was when I had like my first job in cybersecurity. It wasn't something serious or so technical. It was more research based, but it also helped me grow personally and even like in my academics. So this lady reached out to me, Rachel. She reached out to me on Instagram. It's like, oh, I've seen your post, I've seen your blog, and I think you are incredibly talented and you know what you're doing. I'm starting my own like cybersecurity firm in the US, and I would like you to work for me and do some research and writing. And it was jackpot for me.
Wow.
I started it. It was so interesting. More than anything, I got to learn more. Because normally when I would be on my own, it would be hard for me to just tell myself, go and read about this. When I
Right.
had this task and when I had these things to do,
You had
I
no
started
choice.
I started to do that. And I was doing that for a while until, my contract was over and I was focusing on school. And then in my final year, I was writing exam about that time, and I went to one of my mentors, Elizabeth Colade. She's also a very important and a huge person in cybersecurity. I went to her and I'm like, I'm really like I'm finishing school soon, and I need to put my hands on something. I need to find somewhere I can work and just keep learning and growing. And she's like, okay, that was when we were preparing to start Resilience Technologies. And she's like, I can come in as, a digital security associate. Before then, I was just a research assistant, and I was doing some research. That's how I started learning about the civil society space, human rights activists, the work they are doing, and how vulnerable they are in the society. And I started that. I did some research around civil society, advanced persistent threats, and the challenges they face on the cyberspace in Nigeria, across Africa, and in the MENA region generally. And then I grew into like the digital security associate, and recently that is what I am doing. So what I'm doing is we're providing services for security services for civil society organizations, for human rights activists, and all these other people that are vulnerable on the internet, especially people working in the civil space. So that was my story. It was really the internet for me. I tell people this all the time. Like, I met Confidence on the internet. She became my mentor, and she has been a huge part of my career and my growth. I met Elizabeth, who is my current boss, on the internet, and we've just been communicating. Majority of the opportunities I've gotten, majority of the people I've met, and the things that have pushed me forward in my career was born from the internet, from my interactions, from my research, and everything I do, how I approach people online. Yeah,
Wow.
that's it.
Well, amazing. So from all you said, if there's something I understand is the internet played a very key role to pivoting your career, right? So now you know that most times, especially in Nigeria, most women do not even have access to the internet. Women in the local areas. So how do you think that this internet? How do you think we can now ensure that women in these local communities have access to the internet?
To respond to that, I would say that we start with awareness. We start with awareness and education and literacy. If we want to be able to, empower women in such a way that there's inclusivity and they come into tech and use tech to their advantage, they have to be able to know why they need it and what they are doing with it. So it's easy for us to come up with initiatives or ask the government to go and disburse like phones and laptops for people, but at the end of the day, do they know what they are doing with it? Do they know how it can help them? So awareness and education is very important. Digital literacy, let them know that, okay, this is what the internet provides for you, and this is what you can do with it. If you have a business and you have a shop, you can actually take pictures, you can start an online store, you can do this. If you are somebody that, depending on what they are doing, it's always transferable. The internet can come and play a huge role in your business, in your activities, and in everything that you are doing. So for that, I would say we should start with awareness. And when people know about something, they will want to push themselves forward to get to know more and to do better there. So if we start with awareness and education, it gives them like a keen interest in the internet and then the opportunities it provides. And then when we now come in with programs, initiatives, and all these opportunities that would help women to grow in the tech space, they are interested in it, they go for it, they put in their all, and they are purposeful towards it. And they say, what you water would grow. Because of this interest, they are able to take initiative, they're able to learn well, and they're able to have access to opportunities that would further, plunge them ahead in their career or in their business or in anything they are doing online. I would commend what the government is doing, what private institutions are doing, and what even professionals are doing on a personal level. But from a personal perspective, I would say that, I am a product of inclusivity. I'm a product of one woman saying that, oh, I have had access to these opportunities. Let me empower other women. And because I am a product of that, I will not deny that there is no work going on, whether it's BTS, whether it's behind the scenes, or whether it's fast forward, whether it's with projects or it's the government or people doing it in the open space. And I would say that, recently, there's been so many opportunities that people can tap into. And the only problem is, some of them may not be geared towards women, which makes it harder for women to be able to come in and say, okay, this is for me. But a lot of opportunities are coming up, a lot of programs, a lot of training opportunities and platforms. Communities are being built, and they're like, this is geared towards women. And this is drawing a lot of women to this space. This is drawing a lot of women to saying, we want to do tech because it's easier for them, especially when you have a sense of belonging. I know that, okay, I am here because there are women who went before me, and they did the work well, and they're doing really well. So I look up to them because I know that they've gone through what I've gone through, and they are women like myself. We've had the same challenges, probably the same opportunities, and even the same experiences. And if they can do it and scale over and be on that scale,
So
what
you can
more of,
also.
myself? So I would say that we're doing a great job. I commend the professionals in the tech industry, the female and the male professionals in the tech industry, and even the government. The internet is moving fast forward, and we all have to catch up, whether we like it or not. So whether or not people are pro-inclusivity, we live in a world now where it's there, like the evidence is there. You put a woman in positions, you see the strides they are making. You don't have a choice. We just have to catch up. We just have to move with it.
Right.
Yeah.
There's this popular saying that goes by, if you train a man,
Yeah.
you train yourself. But if you train a woman, you train a nation.
Yeah.
So yes, now that we know that inclusion is very important, talking about some of the progresses that women have done. So how do you think that our leaders can better ensure that policies that actually promote digital inclusion? Because in Nigeria, we have a lot of policies. But the major problem is implementation. So how do you think that our leaders can better ensure that these policies are properly implemented?
Okay, so like you said, we have a lot of policies, we have laws, we have standards. I was doing a training some months back, and I was just, listing out the cybersecurity policies we have in Nigeria, and everybody's like, we have all this, but people don't know of them. I think that's one thing. And I'll still make reference to awareness and literacy. People need to know that these things are there. People need to know that women have a way of getting into tech. There's room for women. So people don't know enough of that to be able to move with it. I think we can work on the government, private institutions, and even us as professionals. We can work on literacy, we can work on empowerment, we can work on awareness. And for you to be aware of something, it means like you've taken a step towards getting to know that thing. You've taken a step towards being successful at that thing. And then when we're done with awareness, we can now take a further step to say, okay, let's provide opportunities. What are some initiatives? What are some programs we can put in place? And like I said earlier, we're doing a great job. See our current Minister of Communications, Bosun, since he came into seat, there's been like this 3MMT training for 3 million youth in Nigeria. And there's other opportunities, NEET that does, back-to-back training opportunities for youth and even for the elderly. Everybody is included in it. But at the end of the day, when you bring out these things, I'll give you an example. If I say today I want to go and train 50 people in my village about, technology, and I tell the village leader, please make an announcement. Let's get 50 people to show up on Sunday. If I go there on Sunday, I bet you most of the people that will be there will be men. And this is because some of the women don't think there's a need for them to be there. The orientation is already there. They don't see the need and they don't see why they should be there. But if I go beforehand and I say, okay, this is me, this is my story, there are women who have made it in tech. This is what tech can do for you. This is what tech can do for your business. This is what tech can do for your family. The next time I come back and I say, okay, I want to come and train you how to make money in tech, more women will show up. Yes. So I say it will start with orientation, awareness before empowerment. What are the programs you can bring up? What are other empowerment opportunities you can come up with to just help women? The support you can provide for them. Okay, even if we cannot train you, we can give you mobile phones. We can give you a POS. These little things give encouragement. They give a sense of belonging. It's like, okay, I'm also moving with the technology. Yeah. So that's my response.
Wow. Thank you very much. Amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of benefits of economic empowerment, initiative and programs that actually benefits women. to ensure that we're digitally inclusive. So how do you think that lack of digital inclusion can affect our society?
Okay, so the first aspect I'll give is economical. So economically, it can hinder economical growth and entrepreneurial growth as well. Like I said, we used to have a case where everything we get is off the market. Is we go physically, we have to go to the shop, we have to this thing. And now we live in a time where anybody can just I can wake up today and say I want to sell wigs, and I set up a platform or like a page online, and everybody is coming to me to buy and sell. I don't even need to open a store. So at the end of the day, like when you look at women, especially women that don't have access to the internet, what can the internet do for them? What are you doing now? And what can the internet do for you? Now, in the case where they don't have access to the internet, people would be dulling on these opportunities or these advancements that the internet can bring for their business or for whatever it is they are into. And an example I'll give is I saw a story on Facebook of a woman that said she made over 3 million naira last year selling pomo. And it was funny at yes, it was funny at first until I read the full story. And she talked about how, she used to sell this dry pomo that you have to like soak overnight, and then it lasts you weeks, months, even up to a year if you store it well. And someone was traveling abroad and she went to do her shopping, and you know how you just vlog about a day in your life, and she's like, oh, I went to buy dry pomo and everything so that I can use it by the time I travel. And people in the comments started saying, oh, where did you get your pomo? I want this. And she dropped the woman's number. She started getting more customers. Before you know it, she got a phone. She just opened a page on Facebook and on Instagram, and her business skyrocketed.
Wow.
So now I'm telling you is, what are you doing and what can the internet do for you? Imagine she didn't even have access to the internet at first. But imagine this particular lady did not make a post about her that was enabled by the internet. It wouldn't have gone that far. And then on a social level, social media is a lot. I know that a lot of us come on social media to laugh, to wipe away our tears. Some of us come to look for different things. But what are you using social media for? What are you doing with social media? Like, what can social media do for you? It's important, How do you put yourself out there? What kind of reach do you have on social media? Lack of access to the internet keeps you in the dark. These days, when I want to advertise a job, I will not go and print it and put it on the wall. I'll just advertise it on social media. Now, there may be hundreds of people that will be qualified for that job, but because they don't have a phone, they won't even know that there is an opening there. So this is a social consequence. Like, this is a social perspective. And for political or advocacy perspective, I would say that the internet goes a long way in, helping not just women, people generally. When you see people on the internet that have grown a fan base for years, and if they decide to, let's say they are good people, if they decide to come out and run for a position today, a lot of their supporters will be on the internet. How did some of us know about Peter Obi and the other people that were doing this? It's on the internet.
Sure.
So imagine that, women don't have access to the internet and they don't know that advocacy is actually possible using the internet. You don't have to, these days, people in position, people that are rallying, don't have to go around and go to different constituencies, going around telling people, oh, vote for me, I'll give you rice, I'll give you this. They sit down in the comfort of their home, they make videos, they do things, they send giveaway, it's there. And then people are like, I like this man, I want this thing. So these are some of the things that can affect the society, like how lack of inclusion can affect the society.
I know you've talked about some economic benefits and social and political benefits of digital inclusion, right? Yeah. But now, so how can you now highlight some economic, social, or political implications of digital exclusion, particularly in Nigerian society?
In the Nigerian society, I think it's just going to be an extension of what I previously said. So economically wise, I have a business and I don't have access to the internet. My business may not fail, but imagine how much more it will thrive when it is on the internet. And it goes from a small scale to a large scale. From the person that is selling just basically kunu or drinks or snacks on the road to the person that is into import and export. These days, you will sit down in your house. You don't have to go to China. When I was young, my mom used to have to travel to Dubai and all these places to get goods. But these days, you sit down at the comfort of your home. You have agents contact them, and then they
They
brought your
get it
stuff. Imagine
delivered
how
to your
much you
house.
save. So yeah, that's an economical.
And not just even money, you even save time.
Yes, money, time, energy,
Yeah.
everything. I mean, and it might just be easier for you because on the internet, I mean, there's variety. There's only as
Yes.
much waka you can do if you go in person. You may not be able to visit everywhere. But on the internet, you can sit down for 10 days and look at different stores, different platforms, and what they are doing with it. So yeah, that's an economical perspective. And then for social perspective, I'll go back to social media again. What are you doing with social media? How is it helping us? Um, in the case where, I mean, even on the internet, there's a lot of topic about inclusion. People are even beginning to complain that women are getting um, preferential treatment, They are rolling out programs saying it's for women, it's for women, it's for women. But at the end of the day, I like to look at it like this. Like, I'm a woman. Okay, if I were a man, I mean, I have sisters, I'll have daughters, do I really want them to be in a society where they wake up and they're like, you shouldn't do this because you're a woman? Or they wake up and they're like, I want to apply for this. And they're like, no, you're exempted. You don't have the resilience, or you don't have the capacity
Or
to
emotional stability.
get this particularly done. So that's a social perspective. And politically, I mean, we know that major political positions are occupied by men, but we've also seen what women can do. I mean, even in Nigeria, we've seen how much we stand to gain, even from just, presidents, governors' wives, like in that little position they are given. Imagine how much they can do and how many people they can reach and how many lives they can change. So if they have, the education, the awareness, access to resources, access to people that could help them and promote their careers, what do you think would be the result of all these things? How much more do you think would be done? At the end of the day, it's not a battle of who is better than who, whether it's men or women. It's how much more we can do together as a people. So if I want to do something on my own and then it's tasking, it may take me 3 days, I can onboard someone to join me and it will take me 1 day or less than 2 days to get it done. So whether it is a man or a woman, in this case where women are like disadvantaged, it's going to get done at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they say the more the merrier. It just
Right.
makes it easier.
So, if there's anything I would also like to talk about is, aside from the fact that people even have access to internet, or people do not even have access to internet, there are people that even have access to
But they are
internet,
not
but they don't even know how to use it. I'm going to give a very big example.
Yeah.
During the International Women's Day, the theme for International Women's Day was inspiring inclusion.
Yeah.
But you could see that most people, or some people, were still using the theme for last year's International Women's Day, which was accelerating growth.
Yeah.
And I know I was a victim of that, but of course, with constant research and with the support of my boss, I was able to, do a little bit more research and get the accurate. So those are things that I feel like we still need, aside from even having access to internet. There's still training, whether self-training or maybe program training, to even know how to use the internet and get the right information.
Yes.
I think that is also, I wanted to highlight that as well. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you for
very much
mentioning
for
that.
that. Okay, so now this is a very interesting one for me. So, how do you think that digital inclusion can empower women? Whenever it comes to empowerment, I'm always excited
Yeah.
because I'm a woman here. So, how do you think that digital inclusion can empower women in all sectors to lead more and also be self independent?
Okay. So for this question, I think I'll start from the back, which is
Okay.
like self-independence.
Independence.
Self-independence, I would define self-independence as, doing something out of your free will, loving it and like doing it to full capacity. So it doesn't matter what you're getting from it. It's like, this is what I want and this is what I enjoy doing. And this is something that a lot of us are struggling with. Not just women, like even men. We live in a country where it's like, whatever you get, just do it because this is what is going to feed you. And thank God for technology, thank God for the internet that is really exposing us to the prospect of having to do anything you want to do from the comfort of your home. I was just talking to someone about how like the internet has legit, brought out roles that you never think could have existed. Before you
Yeah.
know it, you hear that from mechanical engineer, you hear that I'm a software mechanical engineer or I'm a motherboard engineer. You understand?
Yeah.
From cybersecurity professional, you hear that, oh, I'm a penetration tester. I work only with this. I'm an SQL. That, like, these roles are just coming up, and it's single-handedly showing us that there's so much you can do. If I start learning tech today and I see that I am very proficient in React or JavaScript, I can just become a JavaScript programmer. I can focus on it, I can hone my skills there, and I'm going to go far and do big things. So I think that inclusion now comes in where, they are open-minded and saying, okay, this is not just for men. Let women be able to do this. It gives a sense of purpose. It gives a sense of belonging. And I mean, we all know, I think we can all relate to the fact that when you like something, you will hold on to it. I like rice and stew. So most of the time when I'm short of what to cook and I'm like, I don't know what, if I have stew, I'm
You're
good to go. Because you can never go wrong basically with rice and stew.
Yeah.
So if I start learning, if I start learning is a tech skill and I see that this is where I'm proficient in, because of the love I have for it, I mean, I would do it joyfully. Call me any day, anytime. It wouldn't be a problem for me. And I would continue to grow. There's acceleration and there's growth and that's a growth catalyst basically for women. So in different sectors, not just tech, in engineering, in finance, in education, we need to be able to open the doors more to women. We need to be able to say that, encourage women to do things. I see the change and I'm very happy because these days, when you see job applications and opportunities, especially from foreign organizations, they always say we encourage women to apply. And some people don't get what is behind that statement. Some people will just say, oh, it's just the normal pampering of women and saying women this, women that. But you don't understand that you may feel underqualified for something till you see that, oh, there's actually a phrase there that says we encourage women to apply. Then I'm like, oh, there's a chance I might get in. Now, I may want to apply for a job and I'm like, I don't think I can do this thing. Or it's possibly for a man because it's men that can do this. But the moment I see that, oh, we encourage women to apply, I'm like, oh, there's a chance that I can actually do this job. And it just goes a long way. Inclusion goes a long way in mentorship as well. I wanted to mention mentorship, whether one-to-one or from afar. You look at people that look like you. You look at people that are like you, and you're like, because this person can do it, I can do it. I have mentors that are men, and they are very supportive. They've been very supportive of my career. They've helped me in so many ways. But there's many times that there's some things I need that I would always want to refer back to, my female mentors, because they know better. They've been there. They've gone through it, and they know how to address that situation.
Wow. Well, I think that is very relatable to so many women.
Yes.
They feel more confident to be able to express themselves freely to their fellow or counterpart or gender. Let's put it that way. Okay, thank you so much for that. But I wanted to say something also to add to what you said.
Yeah.
When you talked about, we encourage women to apply, you know that sometimes some women actually take that as an offense. They're like, oh, why would you say so? Meaning that you're trying to tell us that, oh, you can also apply. I know that some women actually, or I would say some people, I've met a couple of people that see the extra efforts put for women, and they're like, just say apply and put it out there. And then I know that there is something that I heard. Women would not apply for a job or for any tech skill except they are 100% qualified. But men, if they have just 60%, if are 40%, they go for it.
Yeah.
Right? So would you say that what would you say in the aspect of some of the phrases that are put out there on applications? Do you think that it's supposed to be there to encourage women or to make them feel less of themselves?
I think that if organizations or the society generally is trying to include women in things, they won't joke about saying women should apply for this. And life is like a spectrum. It's from how you're seeing it, and how you're seeing it depends on what you're thinking as well. As someone that is always interested in learning, like one essential thing I always tell young people like myself in cybersecurity is drop your ego. Drop your ego. As someone that is interested in learning, I want to learn from anybody, anytime. So I actually don't care whether you're insulting me. What is the output? Am I going to gain the skill?
As long as it's
Am I going to,
beneficial.
as far as I'm going to benefit, I'm going to go for it.
Right.
I'm going to pour my heart into it.
Okay.
So I think that comes from a place of ego sometimes. Sometimes it may be true. I mean, there's like a lot of, stereotyping. I have gone through it myself in different occasions where people think you are less qualified because you are a woman or because you are young. You don't have certain level of experience or
Yes.
this. But you know yourself at the end of the day. So, I mean, if you know that you can do this thing, why you are allowing external sources or external validation stop you from doing it? I know I'm going to learn, so it doesn't matter what they say. I will do the training and I will get the benefits and I will go with the skills. So, yeah, that's what I think.
So apparently we should focus more on the benefit rather than the kind of words that is attached to it. Thank you very much for that. I think that's a beautiful one. Okay, so this is another interesting one for me. I know that in lots of jobs, opportunities, skills, most times you see that a woman and a man have the same qualification. A woman and a man have the same level of experience, but the men are being paid more or are given preferential treatment, or you don't have to stress to confirm if this person is qualified. But when it comes to a woman, there's this, you want to confirm, can she do it? Is she good enough? You want to ask some questions. So now, based off of all of these stereotypes and biases, do you foresee gender inclusion contributing to greater gender equality in our community?
Yes.
And if you do, okay, you answered yes. Okay, but if you do, to add to that, if you do, how do you think we can foster this inclusion for a better world for all women?
Okay, so I said yes to that, and I will give you my reason. So I feel like we used to have all these bias and stereotype a lot, like in a large proportion those days rather than now, because there was no, I will keep using the word evidence. There was no evidence. People were just saying women cannot do this, women cannot do this. But we're now in an era where women are doing, and we're proving them wrong. So the evidence is there. I mean, we're doing it and we're doing it very well. As we keep doing it, the doors keep opening for us. I would always say that, when you're doing something, you don't have to do it like behind the scene. You have to be able to be visible. Now, when people see that you have done this thing and you could do it, who has the right to come and say, okay, you cannot do it? When it's already there, you've learned it, you have the certificates, you have the skills, you've done this program, you've worked on it before. Nobody can deny you that this thing again. That's why it's very important for us to have like women leaders in front, because they have done it, so they've opened the door for us. So if I've been able to employ Nanban today, I should be able to employ, somebody that comes behind her who is also a woman. So yeah, if the evidence is there, then yes, there is a huge contribution to gender equality. Because I was included in this training, because I was included in this opportunity, I was included in this forum, it just opens more doors for more women to be able to go through that tunnel.
Wow. Thank you so much. So there is definitely a possibility that we will have greater gender equality in our society. Okay. You've been talking about how you've been a beneficiary of some programs, some initiatives. So I want you to share with us, share with our viewers, so that they could also benefit. Can you share some resources, some training, some initiative that you think would be beneficial for women who first plans to transition into tech, or probably just learn digital skills for personal or for work reasons?
Okay, thank you. So on that topic, I would say that there are so many initiatives. There are programs that they are rolling out every year, every month, not just for men, but also some of them are specifically for women, some are for men and women. And there's communities you can join for help and support. To mention a few, I'll say like Cyber Safe Foundation. I would mention Tech for Dev and Women Tech Makers. There's also Nexa Scale, and there's a lot of communities basically. But I also want to urge women that these things will not come to you.
Okay.
So whenever I talk about cybersecurity, I tell people that, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, they have vulnerabilities. Today, before WhatsApp started mandating us to use like an extra code for security, anybody could just, use your number and try to hack into your WhatsApp, and then they updated it. But at the end of the day, when they put up these updates, they don't come to your house and say, they don't still force the update on your phones.
Yeah.
You have to be the one to say, okay, let me update this, let me change my settings, let me add multi-factor authentication. Now these things are out there. What are you doing? They won't come knocking. It's not like, it's not like when we first started that we're going around begging people to apply. We've put out the application. What are you using? The question is, what are you using the internet for? Are you using it just for entertainment? Are you using it just to talk to your friends and communicate and laugh and cry and sleep? Or are you actually looking for a way to have it at your advantage? So these things are out there. We need to be more inquisitive. We need to be able to learn more, to research on what we want. These days, I see a lot of young people coming to Twitter asking questions that you know that they could really just Google and get the answer from. Someone made a tweet and said that YouTube is basically an untapped university, and it is the big truth. Like,
very true.
YouTube has so many programs, so many products, so much information that people could learn from. When I was in the university, I would be confused for 1 week, and I'll just go and watch one Indian man explain something for 10 minutes.
And you understand.
I've already passed the course. So if YouTube is there, why are you sitting down waiting for federal government to say we want to train 100 people? Start, go somewhere. And when you start and go somewhere, you see people that want to help you. They don't want to help you because they say, I want to do this. They want to know what you are doing towards it. So personally, before I got noticed by Confidence or anybody, I was putting in my own. I was doing my research. Then I started my blog, and people started seeing what I was doing, and they're like, okay, this person knows what she's doing. Let's help her. Let's mentor her. Let's do this. So what are you doing for yourself? Like, you really can't sit down and say, okay, people are saying gender equality, inclusion, they should bring the programs, it doesn't work like that. What are you doing? When you want to apply for their program, there's competition now. It's not like before. What can you say is the reason why you should get selected? Oh, I've started learning this. I have done my research on this. I feel like this is where I can excel. I have this particular skill, and I feel like it will be suitable for this role or this opportunity. This is what I think, this is what I think works in this place.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if there's anything I picked from what you said, aside from the many other things, of course, is the importance of visibility. Yeah. You talked about how you had to put your work out there, and then people had to see it. And so I think, yes, I would add to it. So please, Nanban has mentioned, please always ensure that you're visible. Put yourself out there. There's no need to complain that you're not a social media person. No, regardless of, no matter how little you do stuff, we have to always ensure that we put our work out there. Thank you very much, Nanban, for all of those contributions. I mean, if there's anything I picked, of course, aside from the many other things that you've said from this very one, is the importance of visibility. You were able to get access to opportunities because you made yourself visible. You made your work visible. And I think that's one thing that most women don't even take advantage of. We're like, oh, I'm not so much of a social media person. So please, regardless of, Nanban has mentioned that regardless of what you do, no matter how little, you have to put your work out there. It creates room for what? For growth, for career growth, for support, for empowerment. Because if she didn't put herself out there, Confidence would not notice her. So another big shout out to Confidence and Elizabeth. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So as an expert in the field and your experience and all of that, what advice would you give to young women that are planning to gain experience or move into tech?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. I think I have 3 main things to say here. The first one is have a firmness of purpose. So as a woman, you already have society. You have unconscious bias, and there are even statistics that are proving that, women are generally underrepresented and are not really in the tech space. You can't let all that drag you behind, If you know what you want, go for it. It doesn't matter who is saying no or who is saying you cannot do it. Just go ahead and do it. The outcome is always what people celebrate. It's not necessarily how you started. And the second thing I would say is drop your ego. drop your ego and go after what you want. Our ego, our pride has really hindered us from attaining a lot of things. You may not realize it, but the reason why you are probably not learning from someone is because you look at the person and you say, I am probably better than this person in this thing, or I probably know better than this person. I've met people that are younger than me, I've met people that are older than me. I know some things they don't know, they know some things I don't know. But at the end of the day, you should be able to tap into people wherever you go. You should be able to tap from people, from their knowledge, from their experience, and from the wealth of, knowledge you can gain from them. And the last thing I would say is believe in yourself, because nobody will do it for you at the end of the day. I'm very fortunate to have like a very supportive family, my parents, my siblings, and my mentors and people I've met. But it doesn't mean I've not met people that have tried to talk me down or make me feel that I don't deserve where I've gotten to, or make me feel like, oh, you don't even know that much, you're just there. But I'm there. At the end of the day, I'm still there. So you can't take it back from me. You can say whatever you want to say, but you can't take my experience from me. You can't take all these things from me. So I just urge all young women out there that feel like they want to get into tech, or feel like you don't even need to want to. Go and find something that you can do in tech today. Go and find something you love doing on a normal day and try to translate it into something you can do online and watch it work for you.
Thank you so much for that. So I would highlight the 3 things that caught my attention. And the very first one, very important, have a firmness of purpose. That's a big one. It's very important. Then, the second one, sorry.
Drop your ego.
Drop your ego. So please, regardless of what you see online that probably speaks to, maybe, as long as you're benefiting from it, please, whatever makes sense to you doesn't have to make sense to other people. The last one is believe in yourself. Yeah. Wow, thank you so much. This is a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you so much. And with that, we have come to the end of our program today. A big thank you to Nanban for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And shout out to our online viewers for staying till the end. See you on the next episode. Till then, bye.